Hi, everyone. Welcome to my talk. I'm going to be talking about how we as leaders can coach ICs to be more holistic product thinkers and leaders. As a research leader, there are three questions that I get asked the most often in the context of a career conversation. How can I influence strategy better? How can I get a seat at the table? How can I show up as a leader? The term leadership can be ambiguous, and ICs of all levels can struggle to tangibly grasp the how and the when. To be stronger leaders, researchers need to be more holistic product thinkers and be drivers, not passengers. They need to take the reins. Before I get into how, let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Nicole Bacchus. I lead the research team at Thumbtack. I'm leading a group of market and UX researchers and research ops. The thing is, I haven't always been a researcher. So following my MBA, I had several roles, including brand management, innovation, and strategy, where I was often the hub of the wheel, leading strategies and business execution with research as a core input. Over and over again, I pitched ideas to executive leadership and clients, leading with user insights, but closing with business pragmatism. When I transitioned entirely into research, I carried with me that same sense of product ownership and accountability, enabling me to operate as more of a holistic product leader who happened to be coming at problems through the lens of research. Over the past 10 years, I've been coaching research teams and ICs with the lessons that I learned, and today I want to share a couple of those with you guys. So here are three essential keys to more holistic product thinking and leadership. Let's start with the first key to success, going from order taking to initiating. So researchers often find themselves in a pattern of order taking. They fall into this trap where they think that they should be neutral or objective, and they very much should be in the context of conducting research. But that doesn't mean that researchers shouldn't have informed opinions, quite the contrary. As a researcher, our value comes not only from reporting back user data, but from giving the team our opinion on where we should go next based on what we learned. A mindset shift is really important here. I try to coach my ICs, instead of asking their teams, what should I work on, come to the table with, here's what I think the next steps could be. And what does it mean to stop order taking and start initiating? In a nutshell, it means not waiting around for someone to tell you what to do and really drive and own your own influence. In the spirit of giving some practical tips, here's something I've seen some senior researchers do with great success, and it's an approach that showcases their leadership and product thinking. Instead of collecting research questions and creating a research roadmap, they lead the process of creating a learning agenda. How many people have heard of a learning agenda? Okay, cool, good for you guys. A learning agenda details what a team needs to learn in a half and how to get that signal, regardless of discipline. So for the researcher, this method is a shift from just thinking about me to thinking about we as a product team. So there are many ways to create a learning agenda, but here are some of the things that I coach my ICs when they're creating one. First and foremost, take a step back, think about your own opinion, form your own opinion. You know where the product is going, what the goals are, you know what you've already learned. Take a step back and think about what you think the team needs to learn, regardless of whether you're going to take that on as a researcher or not. Then engage your stakeholders. And the purpose of this step is to really align on what the most important questions are for the product team to learn during the half in order to move the product forward. And so they might conduct a question storm. They might review the questions that the researcher already thought of. But again, the goal here is to just align on the most important questions. And then from there, the researcher can gather the insights troops. So there's a number of different disciplines that handle insights, data science, product ops, and so forth. And so what the researcher can do in this instance is gather those troops and figure out, based on the questions that we've already aligned to and prioritized, what type of signal do we need, what are the resources we have, and who should take on those questions. And then finally, the last bit is just documenting that and writing the plan. And the researcher is very much in a position to pen that. So at the end, they'll end up with something like this, where they have their learning goals laid out, the methodology that will be used to get the signal, and the corresponding discipline and DRI that will get that signal. So by leading the creation of a learning agenda instead of just a research roadmap, the researcher will have galvanized the team to think more holistically about what they need to learn in order to move the product forward. Our second key to becoming a holistic product thinker is going beyond the user. We all know that the user is just one part of the pie when it comes to making a strategic recommendation. The best recommendations that I've seen from senior researchers don't just rely on user data. They gather information from various sources to illustrate why the recommendation they're making is good for the business. Show of hands, how many folks are familiar with the DVF framework? Desirability, viability, and feasibility. Okay. I know you are, Judd, because you talked about this earlier. Okay. So the DVF framework is one of my favorite frameworks to use for strategic thinking. It stands for desirability, viability, and feasibility, and this is a framework that IDEO brought to the market many years ago so that they could help companies think through innovation opportunities. And just to review what DVF stands for, desirability refers to how much people want the product and whether it meets the needs and desires of their users. Viability is essentially how well your product will do in market. What's its commercial value? Feasibility refers to the practical and technical constraints of creating the product. So essentially, can my company actually build this product? And most researchers stick to desirability when making recommendations because that's usually what their research is well suited to shed light on. But researchers are well poised to shed light on viability and start giving signal on feasibility as well. Let me share an example. So years ago, when I was an IC researcher at Instagram, my team was looking for new innovative ideas that we could build to drive engagement with our video chat product. I led a multi-stage research and design thinking project that resulted in my team getting approval to build and launch Co-Watch on Instagram's video chat. And I'm not going to go through the whole project, but what I'll speak to is how I brought together the different lenses of the DVF framework to co-write a strategy with PM and eventually get this idea greenlit by leadership. So in this project, I ran a large ethnographic study on how teens hang out and aligned market research to run a study so we can understand where Instagram stood competitively on use cases related to hanging out online and where we might have unique advantages. So from this round, we not only got desirability signal from the ethno, but we also started getting viability signal as we learned where the company had a right to win in the market. I later got much more specific desirability signal on the idea after we had developed different concepts through concept evaluation. And then finally, in the last stage, my PM and I engaged data science to actually size the business impact of the idea for more viability signal and engage engineering to size the effort, which gave us our feasibility signal. All of these pieces together helped us write a really compelling pitch for this feature, which leadership approved. The reason I'm sharing this, or what I hope what I'm conveying accurately, is that I'm not necessarily suggesting that one researcher needs to provide all the signal themselves. But as a researcher, we're in a unique position where you can bring all of these voices together to form a more holistic POV. And finally, the last key to success in becoming a more holistic product thinker and a leader is to be flexible, fluid, and multifaceted. So one thing about working in a cross-functional environment, particularly if you work in tech, is that it's messy, it's fast, it's always changing. And the last key to success is all about rolling with the punches, pivoting quickly, and wearing different hats, like the ones that Andy wore earlier. So I once had this researcher on my team who was struggling to get promoted at a very senior level, but there was one win that she had that really showcased her capacity for leadership. And to do this, she stepped outside of her proverbial research lane. Erica and her leadership team had just started preparing a strategy for a new feature when her PM suddenly went on medical leave and her design partner left the company. So instead of twiddling her thumbs, Erica jumped into action and took the reins and worked across the organization to prepare the strategy. And this was a huge endeavor requiring her to flex her general leadership and collaboration skills. And Erica got the critical exposure with leadership that made her promo case a slam dunk. Opportunities to showcase leadership pop up all the time. They just may not come in that research flavor that ICs feel most comfortable with. But we as leaders should encourage researchers to rise to occasions like these, because being part of a senior leader on a team means being flexible, fluid, multifaceted, and wearing different hats. So thanks for joining me. I look forward to exchanging some ideas about how you encourage your ICs to become stronger product thinkers and leaders. Thank you.